what is going on, everybody? You already know it is Thursday night. It's 7 p.m. and it's the one-of-a-kind show. 4 hosts, 4 teams, 1 show. What could happen on this show? My name is Paul Spencer. Right next to me is Danny. Danny, and who do you got below you? Who's below you?
I got Steve below me. Steve.
What's going on, fellas?
Steve, who do you have next to you?
This is Daddy Daycare Day, so I got Lila here, and then next to me, I got our fellas from the East, Mr. Joe.
Hey,
What's up, Joe?
What's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Happy to represent the best division in the National Football League.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
I think we all agree on that. We're not the least of the East anymore. The Beast is back. 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. And somebody is 1-1.
1-1, at least for 500.
At least you're 500,
being 0-2 down the
right. At least you're 500, and you got to win on the board. You know what I mean? So hey, it is what it is.
Finally.
So guys, listen. Let's talk about tonight's game. I know Joe, you're very brief with us tonight. You got some prior obligations, so let's start with your team first. I know you guys play on Monday night, but can we talk about this Eagles versus Buccaneers game? Anything you want to talk about there? Is it a trap game? What's going on, Joe?
Yeah. Yeah, I would think it's a trap game. I think the fact though that it's funny. The Eagles are 2-0, and I'll tell you, if you listen to our sports talk here, I mean, you would think the sky is falling. I mean, I realize we're not playing up to our standard of last year. And it drives me crazy too. Like Jalen Hurts is coming off an MVP caliber season. Personally, I feel like he outplayed Mahomes in the Super Bowl, all right, at least statistically or whatever. And if you listen to our media and our sports talk, it's like they keep moving the goalpost for this guy. Like all of a sudden they're like, oh, should we be concerned about Jalen? Is Jalen regressing? I'm like, my God, it's 2 games and they're 2-0.
Yeah, you play well, you're 2-0. Be happy.
Right, exactly. You know what I mean? It's like they keep moving the goalpost on this guy, and I mean, we won last week, with the running game, but that to me, that's the mark of a good team. If you can win the game, either throwing 300 yards or you could rush for 250, that's the mark of a good football team. I don't think that should be a criticism. I mean, the Vikings were dropping like 8 guys in the coverage and daring the Eagles to run, and DeAndre Swift rushed for like 175.
Agree.
Yeah, take what they give you.
Yeah.
I
don't get some of the media. Like we see the game, we watch all games of all teams in our division plus more every week, and we see they pass the eye test. And to me, I got into it with one of my Cowboys guys, of course, Dave, who does a show with me, saying that what are the Eagles? I still think they're elite. They are the cream of the crop of the NFC right now to me. Still, regardless, 2 games, 2-0. They haven't played to the Eagles' potential, but damn, I know what the Eagles' ceiling is, and I know they can get there really damn quick by one flip of a switch. So I don't know why people are jumping, saying, well, the sky's falling with this Eagles team. I can't see it.
If they're 0-2, maybe, but they're not 0-2. They're 2-0. And when
Right.
you can play not well and still win games, it'll all come together for them. I don't see an issue, but I think he's off to a shaky start, like TJ says. Hurts is on the only start, but that's okay. As long as you're playing well in the end, going into the playoffs, in the second part, whatever.
And Joe, I know you always say this. Week 1 and 2 is an extension of preseason, man. It's getting the rust out still.
It is.
Exactly.
Used to not be that way, but now that the players hardly play in the preseason at all,
right.
hardly really have any game speed, full speed stuff play. It's just different now. Now that first game is almost like, they know there's 16 games already, so it's like their other preseason game. We'll take a loss. We'll be able to handle it.
Right. I mean,
it's just a loss. You deal with the rest of the season.
Right. Going back to the old school time when game 3 was a curtain call for your starters. They played
it was. You played a whole half.
You don't even see the starters week 1 to 1 to 3 here, and coming into week 1. That's why week 1, Dan, I took the Giants to beat the Cowboys because at least you guys got some game flow. They flipped it, but you never know week 1. Week 2, you never know. Week 3 and 4, that's when your team's starting to show you what they look like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You start to learn what teams are, and that's just the nature of the CBA. The nature, I think that's why more players get hurt.
Agree.
You're not used to, preparing yourself to take the hits. You take those hits and boom, you're out or hurt, something like that.
Yeah.
Or not ready, or you look like you're in preseason mode.
TJ says I'm more disappointed in the D line than I'm in the offense. What do you think about that, Joe? Since that's your team there.
Yeah. So Yeah, well, he means that the defense in general, because our defensive line is nasty, and
pass rush.
I totally agree with his statement, because the one thing that really concerns me about the Eagles, first off, Avonte Maddox being out for the year is a huge loss. I mean, he's our nickel corner. We're gonna have a hard time replacing him. And if you watch last week's game, I mean, both games, New England tight ends had like 12 catches combined for like almost 100 yards and a touchdown. Last week, TJ Hawkinson had 2 touchdowns. And what's really hurt, my biggest concern is the Eagles' defensive line is excellent, yes. But if the quarterback if you can't cover the tight end and you can't cover the middle of the field, the quarterback's going to get rid of the ball in 2 to 3 seconds. The pass rush isn't going to matter. And so I think Howie Roseman may have to acquire a linebacker, or possibly a linebacker or a safety. And to TJ's point here, Josh Joby isn't going to cut it. Well, we actually worked out former Washington player William Jackson this week. He was down working out with the Eagles. So Steve, what's your impression of him? Is he worth bringing in? What kind of player is he?
WJ3, as he was called in DC, is a stellar player, and he was phenomenal when he played for Cincinnati. The problem that we ran into here in DC, and like I feel bad for I call him a kid. He's probably like 26, 27 or whatever. But he's a great man-to-man press coverage guy. And the problem was Jack Del Rio didn't run a defense, more specifically a secondary, to accommodate that style of play. So when you take a guy that's predominantly man-to-man, good press coverage, and you keep throwing him into a zone or, rotating too high, whatever, like he's going to get burned. He's going to make mistakes. He's not used to leaning on other people. And, his performance wasn't what, the team thought it was going to be when they signed him. And it's like, well, no shit. Like the guy's a top tier man-to-man. Like you got to play him that way. Well, then lo and behold, like in this year 2, they started to put him on like, wide receiver ones or, the upper tier receivers on that side of the field. And holy shit, he gets interceptions. He's getting field tackles. And it's like, well, why weren't you doing that the whole time he was here? So he can definitely be an asset.
Steve, just to jump in real quick, I know why he did it. He didn't want to play for the Commanders anymore. Okay.
Oh, he probably did, right? I mean, hey, in that turmoil, I wouldn't have wanted to play for him either. But if you can accommodate that style of play for that guy, he's definitely worth signing and picking up.
Okay, yeah, because the talk here, and I'll get on the Tampa Bay game because I know we got to move on, but the talk here is that Bradbury worked out in the slot a little bit in training camp. So if they do bring Jackson in, Jackson would play the outside. Bradbury would cover the slot to help mitigate the loss of Avonte Maddox. So we'll see about that. But to touch on AJ Brown's antics, honestly, doesn't bother me in the least bit. I mean, to me, that's him and Jalen Hurts are like best friends. We're not going to have a Donovan McNabb T.O. situation here. I mean, it's basically, I played basketball every single day of my life growing up pretty much. And my friend Johnny, who was my uncle, at 10 years, we're like 10 months apart, right? And we would play ball. And we were on the same team, and we'd be like MFing each other, shoot the goddamn ball, blah blah blah, and people would be like, "Damn, dude, y'all are friends." And then like right after the game, we go out and go get McDonald's or something. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, it's in the heat of the moment. I'm not even worried about it. You know,
the best thing about that, Joe, is when you got 2 A1, alpha players like the Brown and the Hurts. That you look at that, you're like, wow, the average fan says, oh, there's turmoil here. There's a beef going on. I look at it like, wow, these are 2 leaders that want the best. They want to win. And no matter what happens, I don't get the ball. Who cares? Hurts is saying, hey, listen, look at the score. We're winning the game. It doesn't matter. We'll get the ball when we need you. Same thing situation. I don't read into anything like this at all as a fan.
Yeah. The people that read into that shit, I think, are people that never played sports and they don't understand.
Exactly.
No offense to them, but that's what I get. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But yeah, this Tampa Bay game. So I would think this was a trap game, and I do think Tampa's better than we thought they were going to be. I do. I think their defense is still good. Mike Evans is still a threat. Their running back White, I think, can do some things. I think that kid's going to be good. But I think the Eagles win. I think the Eagles win. They might not cover, but I could see maybe like a hard fought road, like 24-7, 24-16, 24-17 type game. They pull it out. One thing that concerns me about Tampa Bay, though, our strength is our pass rush, and both of their tackles. I read a stat. I meant to write it down, but I forgot. But both their tackles are in like the top 10 in the NFL as far as pass protection, like least given up rushes. And but they have Baker Mayfield pulling the trigger. So I think I think he's good for a pick or two.
I agree. I think you got to get a lot of pressure on him, make him beat you with the air, and he's not proven to me where he does it. I mean, to me, if you take away Evans, that's his main target, of course.
Yeah.
If you can take away him, of course, they do have White run the ball as well, but this defense can swallow it up very fast, and they're going to put so much pressure on Mayfield, where it's just going to be like it might be another Sam Darnold moment on Monday night, looking, seeing ghosts out there. Joe, that's what it could be this week. Honestly.
Yeah, I agree with TJ right here. Mayfield's playing pretty well. He does hold the ball sometimes, and and him holding the ball is going to be exactly what we need to get a couple turnovers. And Eagles fans travel extremely well, and Tampa Bay is probably one of the best. Well, they have a lot of good road trips this year, but a lot of people probably want to be in Tampa this week, so it's probably going to be a lot of Eagles fans down there.
I agree. I think it's going to be a more. I don't want to say like a 50-50 crowd, but I at least want to say at least a 30% all Eagles fans out there. They do travel well, of course.
Yep.
We see it, with Philly sports trips, of course, the great trips out there. But, yeah, I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout here. Steve, what do you think the score of this game is going to be, and what are your points on this game here?
Man, Joe brought up a lot of good points that, like, on paper, you got to think that Philly's going to run all over Tampa Bay. But, you don't know which Baker Mayfield you're going to get because you just had one in week 2 that I think it was week 2 this past week that with Mike Evans, like lit the world on fire.
Sure.
Mike Evans had like 150 yards receiving. Like, oh my God, like where'd that come from? And of course, it is loud to play in the pirate ship down there in Tampa. So, I still think Philly's getting better each week, and kind of getting back to where they should be. Right. So I don't see why, Philly's not going to put up 30, 35 points this week against Tampa Bay.
I agree. I'll put up at least 30.
Yeah, it's got to be at least 30. So I'm going to say, like, Philly's probably going to win this, like, 35-17, 35.
That's what I'm thinking. 34-20.
Something like that. Tampa's going to get lucky and score at least one, maybe 2 touchdowns and a field goal. So let's call it 17, say 35-17 Philly.
Okay.
I think they'll win by at least 14, like 31-17 or.
Those over there feeling pretty good here in these scores, 17. Man. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I know this. You know what? What's funny? This is great because I'm like sitting here and I'm like, man, this might be a sweat. I might have a tight sphincter at the end of this game.
They'll score 30 or more.
And these guys are like 35-17. I'm like, all right, y'all take it.
I don't see why not. Their offense is pretty much healthy.
Joe, to be funny, have you ever listened to something where you hear all these people saying, "Oh, it's going to be an easy game for the Eagles," and then as soon as the show's over, you jump on DraftKings like, "I'm taking that son of a bitch. I'm taking the points. I'm going with this minus whatever it is. I'm running with it." It could be one of those moments, Joe.
Yeah, or you know what? Or it could be the mush. Like when remember what was it? The one night I did the baseball show and I'm like, Atlanta's the number 1, and then you guys lost to the A's or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's because you put them number 1 on the power rankings, Joe. With the Pirates, you jinx the Pirates, you jinx the Braves. I don't know what's going on here, Joe. I really don't.
Yeah.
TJ says 34-20. Of course, that's the score there.
Nice.
Stacy checks in. What's going on, Stacy? Dan, that's your counterpart right there. Giant Stacy
what's going on?
TJ says also Tampa will have a kick or a punt return because our special teams. That is something you would think about.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we just signed a new punter this week.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, I forget his. I forget his name, but he kicked for Pittsburgh and the Jets. But anybody's better than Siposs. Siposs is sucked.
Gotcha. Now, Joe, I do have a question for you. Regarding this game here. I mean, we've seen DeAndre Swift. I'm very high on this guy. I've actually met him quite a few times at St. Joe's Prep with my kids playing. Great guy. What do you think? Is this still running back by committee with this running back here? I mean, is it going to be Swift's show from now on? He's earned the right. Am I right?
Yeah, most of the Eagles fans down here, we all think DeAndre Swift is probably the most talented guy, but for some reason, the coaching staff was really high on Gainwell. So I know Swift had 175 last week, but honestly, I still think it's going to be more of a committee. I don't think at least they haven't come out and said Swift's going to be the guy. Yeah, right here it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
TJ brings it up. He says running back by committee. I think it's going to stay committee. To be honest with you.
I agree. I was looking at the St. Joe's Prep website, and it was saying that DeAndre Swift's dad is the strength coach at St. Joe's Prep. And if you ever seen this guy, I don't know if you guys ever seen a picture of this guy. This guy looks like Mr. Atlas. Is how big he is. He's so buff and like crazy. I met him one time, and I was like, holy shit, he must be like Mr. Universe. And he was saying during the offseason that they had DeAndre down there privately working out. He lost 12 pounds this year, got his speed back, working on agility, strength, and speed. And it's showing. I mean, the way he's hitting these holes in his burst, even, bouncing to the outside, because we know he does like to bounce outside. That was always MO. Even with prep, he bounced outside. And I keep running this dude till you stop him. And he showed me something last week that he's a force to be reckoned with.
So I got a quick question for Joe. If DeAndre Swift is putting up such stellar numbers, why does Sirianni kind of resort back to the whole running back by committee deal if you have a true solid running back number one?
Your guess is as good as mine, bro. I mean, it's just I honestly I don't have an answer for you. It's just the way they've done it here. And this coach, Sirianni, Gainwell was brought in. He was, I think, a 4th round draft pick in 2021. That was Sirianni's first year here. So I know how he makes the draft picks, but Sirianni probably had some input, and he probably likes the kid.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the Eagles are going to win this game convincingly here. I think the front seven is just too nasty for Baker. I think they're going to make him they're going to put him in a position where he's going to make a mistake. We've seen that too far.
He will. Yep, that's what I'm thinking.
So I'm thinking Eagles 34. I'm going to go Eagles 34. Damn, Buccaneers, a couple charity touchdowns maybe. 34-17. 17-point swing here.
Damn, dude. I'm going to have – I think I might just have to go out and load up on the Eagles.
I hope my reverse psychology is working on you, brother. I hope it's working on you. No. Payback's a bitch, Joe. Remember that.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
Well, you know what? As we all agree the Eagles are going to win here. So how about we jump on to another game here? How about we talk about, the Bills Commanders here? I mean, who would have thought the Commanders sitting at 2-0? 2-0, Steve. 2-0. Are we surprised here?
Yes and no, right? So, I mean, let's talk with the obvious, and we won't hash the Broncos game too much, but we snuck into Mile High and we snuck out with a victory, right? I mean, by all intents and purposes, we shouldn't have won that game. We did. It was a tale of two halves. Our defense decided to show up in the second half.
Penalty.
Yep, right. I know that. Yep.
It is what it is. So we're 2-0. And, it goes back to the point at the beginning of the show that, the NFC East is now the best division in football. I mean, we're leading the NFL at 7-1. The next closest division is I think it's the NFC South at like 6-2, and then there's a bunch of 4-4s. So NFC East is the best division by far. And unfortunately, we got to play the AFC East, right? So that brings Buffalo into town this Sunday. And, being 2-0 is definitely going to give us that confidence booster. And from what we've seen so far in 2 weeks, I hate to say this because I don't want to lose the guy, especially if he doesn't become head coach here in DC next year. But Eric Bieniemy is going to be a head coach next year somewhere. Hopefully that's in DC, but it remains to be seen. But what he's doing with Sam Howell in this offense is just progressively getting better and better and better. And on paper, when I look at this game on Sunday, the Buffalo Bills have every reason and every excuse to win this game. Basically from top to bottom. But as we kind of alluded to when I was texting in on the Pick'em show before this, is that with the tropical storm coming up the coast, we're supposed to get a couple inches of rain on Sunday. Actually start late tomorrow night, go through Saturday, and then continue into Sunday. So the weather's going to be really crappy in Landover, Maryland, which I think bodes well for the Commanders only because, our secondary isn't necessarily the greatest against Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and Kincaid and all those other guys. So then the problem becomes, can the defensive front, which is pretty stout, top 5, top 10 in the NFL right now, contain Cooks and Josh Allen? If they can contain those two guys, I could definitely see the tables being turned where Washington can sneak another victory out and possibly go 3-0. If they can't do that, then it's going to be Buffalo all day long. And then we go back to 2-1, and unfortunately, then we got to go play the Eagles next week after that, and we'll be 2-2. So, that is what it is. But
wow, there's no confidence on next week. I mean, we just jumped over this week. Let's get to next week with the confidence issue here.
What's funny, Paul? I actually have. I feel like I'm pulling the card that you guys did with me, because I have very strong feelings about this game.
Wow.
I'm actually taking Washington with the points. I think to me, man, I think Josh Allen's a hell of a talent, but he's a turnover machine. And with that, with the rain down there, I got to be honest with you. I see you guys winning that game outright. I really do. You guys can definitely beat Buffalo. I'm not.
I love to hear that.
No,
I think the biggest thing that we got going for us is, the defense is top 10 right now in sacks. They're top 10 in tackles for loss. They're top 10 in takeaways, all in the NFL, which is really huge for us because traditionally, we start out as a bottom third defense. And then by week 7 or 8, then we get our shit together and, oh my God, we become a top 10 defense by the end of the year. So to start this strong, this early is a serious positive note for us. If we can sneak out the victory and end up go 3-0, that'd be a lot of momentum going into Lincoln Financial in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you know what, Steve? The greatest thing is, I listen to your show, of course, and the greatest thing you talk about is the atmosphere. If you guys go 3-0, this atmosphere could, be so much positivity for Washington fans out there. Who would have thought 3-0 this year, coming from a new OC, all the bullshit going on last year with the Snyder issues, whatever. This could be an atmosphere changing, positively thing for you guys, but I don't see it happening. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep it real. It's not going to happen this week. You guys are losing. Very simple. I don't care what the weather is. It's not going to happen. Josh Allen is going to be Josh Allen. He's not going to turn the ball over this week. He's going to score. And my score is Buffalo. Well, now you said the weather's changed a little bit. So I'm going to go 23-13 Buffalo Bills. And you're back down to reality.
No, I'm going to go 26-13.
26-13. Okay, Bills. Joe, come on. Give it to us.
I'm hoping you guys are right, because, shit, I am an Eagles fan. You know what I mean? I can't, all right, I'm going to say Buffalo wins, but the Commanders cover. So I say Buffalo, I'll go Buffalo 24-21, and it's like a serious sweat at the end.
All right, so you took the 6.5, right? You took the 6.5 with Washington.
Yeah, I like Washington to cover.
Okay, you got the 6.5. I think I'm going to take Buffalo minus the 6. I might stay away from this game because I like to stay away from games with the weather situation. You never know, in the bad playing field. It's a field possession game. One turnover can cost you the game.
Rain. So.
Exactly, yeah. But anything else about this game here? Anything scare you? I think says I think the Commanders beat the Bills. So hey, there you go, Steve.
I would love that, right?
I think the Commanders can confuse the crap out of Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen's completely confused this year. I think
if he turns the ball over, the Washington will win. But if they don't, the Bills will win.
All right, TJ has Bills 28, Skins 23. All right, so anything else about this game before we move on to the next game here?
I think it's, in all honesty, as much as it's a home game for Washington, sellout crowd, the Bills Mafia travels, it's going to come down to, just like we said last week, which quarterback are we going to get?
Yeah.
Last week it was which Russell Wilson are we going to get? This week it's going to be which Josh Allen are we going to get? Are we going to get the one that throws 4 or 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, or am I going to get the one that throws me 3 interceptions, fumbles the ball, and can't put a drive together down the field? So
and that's very true. The first week against the Jets, he threw 3 picks, 1 touchdown. Next week he throws 3 touchdowns, no picks. Look like a night and day effect. So you don't know who you're getting right now. So
But that was also at home against the Raiders. You know,
True, very true. Yeah,
the Raiders kind of blow.
They do. They definitely do. But you know what? How about we get into this game here? Sort of bad news today. Our best corner, Trayvon Diggs, tore his ACL in a one-on-one drill today. Hobbled in their locker room with crutches. MRI states it's a torn ACL, out for the season. But what are you guys' thoughts before I get into it? Because I'm kind of leaning toward both ways, positive and negative here. What are your guys' thoughts first about that?
Well, obviously it's negative you lost Diggs, but I think they're going to kick the crap out of the Cardinals.
I agree with that one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What is your take, Joe, about losing Diggs, and how do you think going forward this team, what it does to this team?
I mean, it's got no matter how. I mean, I heard what you said on the chat, and I see your point. I mean, because the one thing about Diggs makes a lot of big plays, but there's been a lot of talk from other teams. I mean, the teams do find a way to take advantage of his aggressiveness at times. So I do see that. Mm-hmm. But no matter how you slice it, dude, he's a hell of a player. It's gonna hurt you guys.
Yeah.
As far as this week goes, dude, I'm saying Arizona shot their wad. Arizona played hard the first two games, and they were right against both you guys. They were right in the game, each of them.
Like 38-7, 38.
Yeah, they're going to. I was going to say they're going to meet their daddy this week. I mean, it's going to be like 38-7, dude.
You got to remember this guy is coming for him.
It's going to be ugly. Yeah, honestly, I would feel really confident laying the 12.5 with the Cowboys and not even sweating it.
I agree.
I think they'll definitely cover.
Steve, what do you think about losing Diggs, real quick?
I mean, it's definitely a big loss for you guys on defense, but I think the big thing is, your defense is so stout that, it's, as you guys said in the group text earlier, it's next man up. But the biggest problem that teams are going to have is, just trying to get dry. I get it. You guys have played the Jets and you guys have played the Giants. But, at what point is a team going to be able to put drives together against your defense? And that works so well for your team right now because your offense isn't challenged because it hasn't been behind at all in the game. Yep. So, your defense is just playing so out of this world right now that, I get it. Diggs is such a big loss on the back end, but, when you still got Cousins and Parsons and, every other crazy cat flying around on that defensive side of the ball, it just makes life so hard for offenses right now in this league. So,
Steve, I think TJ came up with the idea that your daughter is a Cowboy fan back there. Okay? She's sleeping all through the show. And as soon as she hears me talk about my Cowboys, she wakes up and it's like, Daddy, I'm a Cowboy fan. So there it is, Steve.
By the way, I got a question for you guys too. Paul, I see you have the jersey on too, and does Micah? I mean, I feel this way. Does Micah Parsons remind you guys kind of like the closest thing to Lawrence Taylor that we've seen in this league?
That's a great thing.
I'm not saying he's Lawrence Taylor yet, but I mean, to me, I watch him play, man, and I'm just I feel like I'm watching LT out there.
Yeah, but
the thing is, he lines up multiple positions, though. He can line up anywhere.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. LT was on the edge the whole time. He's coming after you pretty much every time. Mm-hmm. It's a little different. That's why I would do a part. I have him on the edge, but he's close.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
He takes the game over like LT.
He does.
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's definitely somebody that you have to watch because if he stays at this pace right now, he's easily in the conversation for NFL MVP.
But Lawrence was a sack machine.
He's finished the season. The last 2 years, he's finished number 2 for Defensive Player of the Year. Rookie year and his second year, number 2, and he hasn't missed a beat yet. I mean, his IQ is just off the charts what he does. But going back to losing Diggs, I did say in the group chat, Joe, you said you hit the nail on the head. Diggs does take chances. He's a ball hawk. He jumps balls. And look at last week with the Jets. Malik Hooker saved an easy touchdown when Diggs got beat. With that pick there. Yep. I think this actually, it hurts the Cowboys in many ways, but it brings unity to the Cowboys because just like TJ said here, Jerron Bland moving into that Diggs spot over there.
He'll be all right.
He's a hybrid also. I love this kid, Jerron Bland, coming up, college. Love the kid. I think it's better because he knows what he is, and Hooker can say, okay, you know what? I can control this side. Wilson coming over to the other side. We can control the defense very easily. And I know that with that in the back of minds of Wilson and Hooker, okay, we always got to keep our eye. It's not our side to shade Diggs' side, but we know he can jump routes. But if he jumps and he gets beat, I got to compensate for that side. So I think it's uniformed as unity of a team. But you're right, it is going to miss a huge beat. I mean, 7 picks a year in the last 2 years, that's huge. That's huge too.
Yep.
So since we're talking about the Diggs injury here, Paul, I got a question for you. Is that going to put more pressure on Gilmore to perform better or more in place of the Diggs loss? Or is it kind of just more of a shared responsibility, quote unquote?
You know what? I think they're going to pick Steve. I think they're going to pick on him a lot more because like you go to like Darrell Revis Island. You go to Deion Sanders. Nobody picks on this guy. Sauce Gardner. Nobody picks on him.
Yep.
That's what they did with Diggs because he was the elite corner that we had over Gilmore. Gilmore's a veteran. He knows how to play off the ball, on the ball. Zone coverage. He can do everything. But I think if a team like the team, I don't think the Cardinals will do it. I don't think they move their wide receivers, to here and there, right and left. Like the Eagles, they can move Devontae Smith in the slot, the outside.
Yep.
A.J. Brown can go anywhere. When you get a mismatch like that, they're going to pick on Gilmore first. They're going to come after him. But I think they go after both right here. My scary thing is in 2 weeks when we play the Niners, that's going to scare me because they're going to pick on both corners. Right now, it's an easy game. It's a work on your situation, work on your depth chart this week against the Cardinals. I'm not even worried about it this week.
I won't worry about this week. I think they'll be
the other thing you got to worry. The other thing you got to worry about too is Gilmore is a good player, but he's also getting a little long of tooth. So where you're going to get hurt is what if Gilmore like tweaks a hammy or something and misses a couple weeks? Then you're really thin.
Well, that's a problem.
Oh, yeah, well, you know what? I hope maybe we can go back and get the Castaway again, Joe.
Yeah.
We get guys off the street then, like we were last year.
No, anybody off the street would be better than the Castaway, Mr. Kelvin Joseph. He's oh my God. Let me, hell, we have a long list of those. Anthony, I've named every one of them. Thanks to Joe with the Castaway. It was Anthony Toast Brown, and then Kelvin Jones the Castaway. I don't know.
The Castaway was great. Yeah,
it was. It definitely was. So, what do you guys think of the score this week? I think it's going to be a 34-13 Cowboys.
38-10.
Wow. Joe?
Yeah, I'll just to be different, I'll say 38-7, but we're all kind of in the same realm.
Wow, Steve, we got a blowout as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that might have been a blowout too. Woo. I don't see Arizona putting up any touchdowns against that defense. Mm-hmm. I think it's gonna be like a 35-38-9. Arizona is just gonna be kicking field goals.
Okay. Well, she agrees with you, but she said it's going to be like a 40-0 game, just like the Giants game there. That's what I heard, coming from the little one. But hey, lastly, we want to talk about how about tonight's game? I mean, tonight's game, no Saquon, half the team's
no Andrew
not playing.
Thomas.
What do we think, Dan? This is your team. What's going on here?
I don't think the Giants are going to win the game. I think they'll lose by less than 14. But I don't know. They have no Thomas, no Barkley. They're going to have to cause some turnovers and somehow give Jones time. This is a tough test for them. Without Andrew Thomas and without Barkley, it's even tougher for them. So I don't see them winning tonight. I think they'll be competitive, but I don't see them winning this game. I think the 49ers got a little bit too much firepower, and their defense is really, really good.
There's our first score coming in. TJ says 40-0 Niners. Oh, boy. Oh, man.
I don't think it'll be 40-0, but I think that the 49ers will have a problem winning the game.
And he says Cowboys 40-0. Oh my goodness! And no Aguilar as well too. Dan
Aguilar's out. He's always freaking hurt. So something with his calf or something like that. They got to get a pass rush. I really don't know if it's going to happen. I mean, I haven't seen much from Thibodeau. So I don't know. It's a real tough test for them. I don't know how they're going to slow them down.
Gotcha. Well, Joe, I mean, what do you see for this game? I mean, it's a division game here. A team that's 1-1, the bottom basement of our division here. Is there any way that this Niner team loses tonight? I mean, how can it happen?
4 turnovers. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's the only way. If somehow, somehow Brock Purdy all miraculously wakes up and realizes he was Mr. Irrelevant all overnight. You know what I mean?
He's lost the game. He looks great.
Yeah, he does. He does look great, and I don't see that happening. I mean, unfortunately for Dan, I see the 49ers winning and covering. I mean, I don't know about 40-0 because the one thing. Listen, the one thing about the Giants. They showed a lot of heart last week. They really did. I mean, they showed a lot of heart.
I thought they were dead in the water.
And Dable's a hell of a coach. So I know they're down some guys, but Dable will have those guys ready to play. I mean, I see maybe just because the Niners, just because of the Giants O-line and the Niners winning the game up front, maybe like a 31-17 piece, something like that.
Yep, something. That's what I'm thinking. I said 31-20.
Yeah, something like that, you know?
Yeah, I got an 11-point spread. The line was 10 and a half. I took it up to 11 and a half. I have confidence in the Niners here. They're just more of an elite team on both sides of the ball. And Joe, I agree with you. The only way that, on the bus ride there in his Lamborghini, that's when, Purdy says, I'm Mr. Irrelevant. I should be playing this well. I'm going back to those days at Iowa State there.
Unless Hyatt goes and has a crazy game or Waller or something does. I mean,
the thing is that the Giants got to take the roof off of the top right away. They got to go downfield because if you, just like with the Cowboys game, with the Cowboys game, you guys didn't throw the ball downfield, so our safeties came up and played in the box, and that's
what Arizona did in the first half. Right. Same thing.
So you got to take your shots downfield to Hyatt. You have the weapons, of course, to spread the field because you got to have that secondary. Be honest, if they come down to the box, you're playing heavy in the box, and that's against you guys right there with no Barkley number one.
The key thing I'm worried about is is it going to be a game where Jones gets sacked 8 times again? Where he's running for his life. Where he's like week 1 was.
Yeah, I agree.
That's why I still want to see that, even if they lose.
See, TJ's listening to our philosophy here. It was 40-0. He took it down to 35. So we're trying to help you out here, Dan, a little bit, on the emotional side here. So TJ, keep listening a couple minutes. Maybe we'll take you down to like 32-0.
I think their offense will play a little better, but I don't think they'll score a ton of points.
TJ, is this Kapka's last game calling offense if they get shut out again?
Well, the big debate a lot of people were asking was Dable calling the plays last week? Because he had a play sheet in his hand. Mm-hmm. He was speaking into his headset, and it looked like he was calling plays.
Well,
so I'm wondering how much influence he had. But that play that Hyatt had to open the half, Kafka called that same play, and Hyatt was wide open. He didn't throw it.
Okay.
For whatever reason, he didn't pull the trigger.
Gotcha.
So
Steve, what do you think about this game? Steve, what do you think about this game? One-sided?
Yeah, I think it's going to lean more towards the 49ers side, obviously. Mm-hmm. But, I still think the Giants are good enough that they're going to put some points on the board.
Gotcha.
So, I definitely see like a 31-20, 34-20, game. Like I said, I think both sides of the ball, the 49ers still kind of outmatch the Giants, but I still think the Giants kind of make it respectable at least.
I agree.
Unfortunately, making games respectable doesn't equal W's in the NFL.
No.
So,
Yeah, like last week, the penalty should have been called on you guys. You guys are sitting at 2-0, but that doesn't show in the win column. So that's a win is a win, right? I guess.
Well, exactly. But Thomas is out tonight, so I'm glad to see Ozuna get more playing time and see how he does. So maybe we could slide to right guard. McKeithen's going to play again, and we'll see how Neal does this time versus a really good pass rush. He did better last week, but it's Arizona. It's not San Francisco or Dallas.
But here's the big question, Dan. Here's the big question. Game 1, you were knocked out 40-0. Game 2, you didn't score until basically the second half here, 20-0. So what are the odds the Giants score in the first quarter here? What are the odds on that? I
think they'll score in the first quarter this time.
Wow. Okay.
Will they win?
No.
I don't know. They could come out and have a good first drive, score 7, and then not score the rest of the game.
True.
That's kind of been their pattern. Mm-hmm. But I think they'll score in the first quarter. I don't think it's going to be like it's been the first 2 halves of week 1 and 2. I think they have a little bit of momentum last week. They realize on offense a little bit what they are, even though they don't have Barkley. Defensively, they're going to have to play a really good game if they want a shot.
Mm-hmm. TJ says for fantasy players out there, start McCaffrey, the 49ers D, sit Daniel Jones, and the Giants D. I agree with that. I think the RPO is going to be done tonight. I really do. So I don't think it's going to be
RPO without Barkley because you're not really worried about Breida.
Agreed 100%.
Can I tell you what would scare the shit out of me if I were you, Dan? Nick Bosa so far this year.
Yep.
Two games. He has 1 assist in each game's no sacks. He's national television game playing against Euro line. I could see Bosa with like 3 sacks tonight.
And he'll be against Neal. I mean, they're going to have to help him out or use his aggressiveness against him. They're going to have to figure something out. He'll get a couple of sacks probably because the Giants' O-line is just not that great. Without Thomas, they're not as good as they usually are on the other side either. So,
the saying, primetime players show up at the right primetime moment. And I think this is where Bosa shows up tonight. Primetime.
I'm hoping it's Hyatt shows up tonight as a big game. That's what I'm looking for.
I got you. All right, well, before we get out of here, how about we do a little couple sponsors here real quick? Dan, how about you get this one for me here?
Monkey Cold Coffee, the evolution of flavor-infused coffee. Use the promo code OTB Sports at monkeycoldcoffee.com. Get 10% off your order. They make a Sumatran blend flavor, a toasted coconut rum, and a bourbon chocolate chip. All three are excellent. They're coming out new flavors all the time. They also have mugs, T-shirts, travel mugs, cold brew maker, K-cup filter. So once again, use the promo code OTB Sports at monkeycoldcoffee.com. Get 10% off your order.
All right, Joe, since you're the baseball, the extra inning show on Tuesday night, take this one away.
Yeah, so, the ultimate game day mug. Now, I know you as a Braves fan, and of course myself as a Phillies fan. I mean, hey, I'd love to get a nice 2023 World Champion piece of one of these. You know what I'm saying? That would be nice. But, this is a mug for any fan. You could use the promo code OOTBSSports20 at dugoutmugs.com. And, it's funny, not to go too long here, but, I was thinking your next sponsor that you're probably going to have, Danny Dimes might be calling your next guy that's probably coming up.
You know what, Joe? That's an awesome segue there. But the only problem is, Danny, we are not playing in the great state of New Jersey tonight. I'm very sorry about that. You're playing in, California. Sorry, Jason doesn't cover that. None of our teams are covered this week. If anybody falls, slips, or whatever. But if you are next week, or any fan out there, you get frustrated, give my man a call, Jason Fine, Attorney Big Al, 1-800-HURT-123 for motor vehicles, slip and fall, workman's comp, personal injury claims. 3 convenient locations throughout the area here. Pennsylvania, we have you covered. Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and also in the great state of the Garden State, New Jersey, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. We can't help you this week if you're a player out there with a slip and fall, But, hey, if it happens, give my man Jason a call, 1-800-HURT-123. But, hey, Steve, how about you do us a favor and you talk about our great schedule here?
Hey, here at Out of the Box Sports Entertainment, we got something for everybody. It's, as we have the NFC East War Room here on Thursday nights. On Monday nights, we got the Joystick Junkies, the Sully Squad at 6 p.m. And, of course, our Big Blue Power Hour. 2 of our hosts here tonight doing shows on Mondays. Tuesdays, you got the Commanders Gridiron at 6:30. Extra innings baseball after that. Wednesdays, man, we got a stacked night, 4 programs in a row. Man, I guess you saved the best for last with them 215 boys, 9:30, hosted by Paul and Dave. Roundtable Thursday nights. Show the Atomic Drop on Friday nights at 10:30. Saturdays, it's College Football Day with the Notre Dame podcast. And, of course, our Silver and Black Lair. And as always, we're adding more content all the time. So stay tuned for new shows, new topics, and we have something for everybody. You just got to look at the schedule and figure out what it is.
And, Joe, speaking of schedule here, I think we have something coming up in the old school show coming up pretty soon, don't we?
Yeah, I'm so glad you just said that because I was thinking of that when we were talking in a couple weeks' time about 49ers and Cowboys, about how in a few weeks' time they're matching up. Well, myself and you, Paul, we're going to do it together. We're going to do the week. What do you want to do before the game, right? A lead up to the game?
You know what? I think so, because I think both teams should be undefeated. And what better way to go into that 90s rivalry being undefeated, just like the old days, Joe?
All right, yeah. So we're going to do 90s Cowboys, but in particular, the great rivalry of that time of the 3 NFC championship games between Niners and Dallas and the 49ers. So we're going to do a deep dive into how that Cowboys team was built, the Herschel Walker trade, the Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones feud, Barry Switzer. I mean, my God, you can the stories are crazy, Hey,
absolutely.
Maybe we'll even break out. Maybe we'll even do a little dive into the White House. What do you think, Paul?
You know what? Let's do it. Why not? Let's bring it all out. But I can't wait for that week, Joe. Back in the day, Joe, those was when football was crazy, where people didn't care. They wanted rings. Deion played for both teams. Charles Haley played for both teams. It's like you think about these players of what they were before. They didn't care what jersey they wore. They wanted rings. They wanted rings and to be the best.
Yep.
They did.
Yeah. You know what? And you know what? Here's another thing we could get into. As great as that Cowboys team was, and they were. I mean, hey, I'm an Eagles fan saying it, so I want to hold my nose when I say this. All right, but 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. That was a hell of a team. The rivalry with the Niners was a great rivalry, and we're going to have to ask the question: how many more could they have won if Jerry and Jimmy didn't have a split?
Wow. Yeah.
That's one of the great. That's one of the great what if. I mean, if you talk about what ifs in sports, that's a great what if. Because I know, let's keep it real. They won with Barry Switzer, but come on, they won because of talent. Barry Switzer was a village idiot.
All he had to do was just come in and call plays. Barry Switzer was nothing as a coach at all. He was nothing. He inherited that team. That's the greatest question, Joe. How many could they have won? But regarding that show, Joe, I don't know if we should tag Buffalo Bills fans for that 4-year span, should we?
Yeah, that might be a little tough, but why not? What? Hey, I rooted. I rooted for the Bills all 4 years. No offense to you guys, but I'm an Eagles fan, so I rooted against the Giants, rooted against Washington, and rooted against y'all. And guess what? Came up short every time. You know what I mean?
Hey, well, yeah. What could have been more though, but we'll get into that. But before we get out of here, guys, I just want to say thank you for joining us every week. The NFC War Room here every Thursday night. We try to bring you something that's a little bit different from our fan perspective. We're fans of the games. We keep it real. We trash talk. But at the end of the show, man, we are 4 brothers that love sports, and that's the way it is with us. So, guys, anything else for the show before we get out of here?
Go Big Blue. Hopefully I get a miracle tonight. We'll see.
This is where the trash talking begins. Screw your Blue.
Yeah. Whatever.
If I was a Monday Night Football team, I would put Jason Fine on a retainer. So I saw this crazy stat today. The last 3 Monday night games, Nick Chubb, Aaron Rodgers, Damar Hamlin, were the last 3. Something devastating happened in the last 3 weeks of Monday Night Football. So it's just a matter of which one of the 4 teams playing Monday night is going to have something devastating happen to him injury-wise.
I hope not.
Can I tell you something that's really scares the shit out of me, too? Because I have a buddy, John Lieb, who's like the ultimate mush. I've talked about him multiple times. Paul knows all about him. Steve, to put it in perspective, this guy changed the curse of baseball history. He had money on the Yankees in 2004 when they were up 3-0. So he changed the curse of the curse of the Bambino was ended because of this guy. Okay. Well, anyway, guess who he has on his fantasy team? He had Aaron Rodgers, right? Then the other night, Nick Chubb gets hurt. I'm like, yo, bro, did you see that Nick Chubb? He's like, Jesus God, I have him in 2 leagues. So anyway, what has me sweating bullets is not only the Monday night curse, but he also has Jalen Hurts. So, dude, I'm scared shitless about this game on Monday night. I'm not even worried about Tampa Bay. I'm worried about John Lieb having Jalen Hurts. And then in another league, he's got Eagles defense and A.J. Brown. I'm like, damn, dude, like you have to take Eagles,
Oh,
I'm not a gamer, but who's on the cover of Madden this year?
I don't know. I didn't say. Did anybody know?
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen is.
Oh. Maybe we'll get hurt in the rain on Sunday.
yeah, damn.
Look at Steve. Maybe he'll get hurt in the rain this year. The Madden curse. Wow. But before we go, guys, what do you think real quick about that Nick Chubb injury? What do you guys think about that?
Horrible. I feel so bad for him.
So I read a report where he possibly tore or ruptured the artery in his knee.
Jeez.
Is that true?
It's bad. It's a bad injury.
I didn't see anything about that.
Don't know, but it's bad.
Because there were, I guess, reports out about this supposedly artery that goes through that knee, kind of like the McGahee.
I don't know. We haven't gotten a full report on it, so I'm not going to speculate.
Yeah, that's what it took me back to the Ohio State-Miami game where McGahee popped the knee there, and that was just bent straight backwards as well. And this isn't his first time, Nick Chubb. This is, at Georgia, of course, and now this year. Yep. Can he bounce back? I mean, God, man, we know this guy's like a god, in the weight room. We've seen what he's do. His power.
He can, but I don't know how much damage he's done. That's a bad injury, man.
Yeah. Especially being a running back, they're already down. They're paid nothing. Pennies on the dollar. Just imagine what his lifetime career is going to be. Being out. I know athletes make $10 million a year easily.
Yeah, but
it's nothing. But prayers up to him. 100% Nick Chubb
absolutely.
Out there. Prayers for everybody.
I think he tries to come back, but it might be on the lines. And remember Terrell Davis and Jamal Anderson both tried to come back, and it just didn't work. I could see something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. True.
It'll be interesting to see how Kareem Hunt does coming back. So
yeah.
And luckily he knows the offense, but.
Yeah, he's familiar with the offense. He's terminology there. He's good with it. But coming in on a 3-day notice here to play in the game, I don't know how he's going to be with the offense this week. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right, guys. Well, once again, let's get out of here, and we will be back next Thursday night at 7 p.m. Of course, to talk some more NFC Trash Talk and War Room here. So for myself, Paul Spencer, Danny, the Giants fan, and Steve below, and the newest Cowboy fan, Steve's beautiful daughter down there. She already acknowledged that fact. And, of course, Joe Sullivan, the Joan right below me. Guys, we'll see you next week. And until then, go Cowboys.
Go Giants.
Go Birds.
Stomp the Bills.
There you go. We'll see you next week. Have a great night, guys.
Say it.